Hello everybody and welcome back to the regenerative urban farm, which in today's case is the regenerative urban front yard, because it's weird, some kind of like voodoo thing. The neighbor behind us, every time I set up my tripod and turn on record, it starts blaring music. It's crazy. Like for hours it'll be dead quiet, and as soon as I hit record, boom chicka boom chicka boom. It's a strange world, and I don't know if this is all like a grandmaster coincidence or if I'm just like plagued to endure this curse forever. But nonetheless, we have a relatively quiet spot, and the mission will continue. So the heat wave and the drought are still in full effect, as they are for many places. We've been promised rain a few times, and have yet to fulfill on that promise, so it's still just like waiting. The drought restrictions, water restrictions, are about to increase even more, which is going to be problematic. But on the larger scale, this has been a huge problem. It even made the news down here. There was cattle ranchers in like truck and stock trailer lined up outside of auction barns to offload their herd, because they can't afford to feed them, and there's no rain, so their pastures have become barren, dusty wastelands. And farmers as well have incurred a lot of crop failures, either total crop failures or drastically reduced production to the point that they're losing out this year. It's costing them more to grow this produce than they stand to ever make from it, because of the amount of plant failures they've had. And that is this urban operation is not exempt from that. We've had to endure the same struggles. The good thing is that you don't have this giant pasture field, so you can be more attentive to each individual plant, and you can address issues as they arise in a better fashion. And a lot of things go unnoticed when you're got a giant crop field. But despite that, there's a lot of things that that's just unstoppable. And the biggest that I've been struggling with is kind of like the plants going into shock, and it's a physiological response the plant undergoes when it's being bombarded with too much sunlight. And the leaves are like dark green and kind of glossy on the top, and a little more flat colored and lighter on the bottom. And the top is their chloroplast, that's their photosynthetic surface area, and the bottom is their stomata, that's where they uptake CO2 and exhale oxygen. And the physiological response that they've been undergoing is a reaction to try to protect their chloroplast from being damaged. Chloroplasts are cells, just like any other cell, they can incur damage. And so the plant's leaves roll up on itself, leaving just a tiny middle area of photosynthetic surface area, and the stomata upturn and end up being on the top. And this is a last-ditch effort. The plant is trying to reduce damage to its chloroplast while still maintaining a slight ability to have some photosynthetic surface area. The downside of this is once they undergo this reaction, the leaves never unfold again. They're like that forever. So you have to either prune them or just let it die off eventually. Now I still have all of the plants that have done this. I still have all the leaves intact, because there still is a slight bit of photosynthetic surface area. And I'm just kind of hoping. Some of them were in middle of producing. Like I had a green bell pepper plant that it had 5 peppers that were maturing, and as soon as this happened, they stopped growing, and they actually started rotting on the plant. So it's a strange time. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about that situation in particular yet. I know garden shades are like, man, they're crazy hard to come by right now. And so there's one garden shade that's 40 miles away at a Lowe's Home Improvement that I'm probably gonna, just knuckle down and end up getting. And it's a 6-foot by 15-foot shade. It's for those like growing tunnels. It's just like an arching green tarp, or like a netted tarp. And that's about all that can be done right now, because the other boxes that I have the screen door or window screen material on, can't find that material either. It's like all things are on a downhill slide, it seems. But that is what it is, and this is a struggle that's far beyond just little old me on the regenerative urban farm. This is impacting pretty much every agricultural state right now. The same combination, with the industrial conventional agriculture operations are suffering from the fertilizer shortage, which we've kind of created a system that's wholly dependent on synthetic inputs. So the lack of fertilizer means that the otherwise depleted soil is lacking the microbial content and nutrient density to cultivate these crops on its own accord. So we have to feed it the things that it needs to continue. I kind of look at it like zombie soil. It's already depleted. It's already dead, and we've taken a lot of actions that have increased this. It's the fertilizers have had to get more intense, and now we need fungicides and pesticides and all kinds of things. It's just like a cascading spiral towards a system that's unsustainable, because as this one little cog in the wheel, which is the global fertilizer shortage, well, not global, it's here at least, this is impacting everything, because we've conditioned soils to rely on that. Really, it's kind of like a drug, I guess. They need it to just do their normal thing. And so on the conventional side, that is causing a lot of damage. On the regenerative side, we have the benefit of using natural fertilizers, which is compost and decomposed organic matter on site. And that's the way that it should be done in a perfect world. But we have a gigantic population and everybody needs to eat, and I think the logic was, let's just set the right thing to do to the side and focus on maximized production. And that's ambitious naivety, I suppose, but it's coming to roost right now, and all the holes in that concept are being exposed one by one. And it just happens to be occurring at the same time we have a pretty insanely ridiculous heat wave and drought. And this is in all the agricultural states, which it's shocking, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. And so we are just going to continue on here with doing the best we can, mitigating damage as it's planted or as it's uncovered, and just adhere to the age-old farming principle of just keep planting. And the law of probability says that if you do it enough, you will eventually succeed. So kind of running off of that. Now, if we have enhanced water restrictions, which it's looking like we're going to, that may be a massive problem, because if I water all my crops twice daily right now, once midday and once in the evening, and even if I miss the midday watering, they look horrible by the evening. So if they say freehand watering is also prohibited, that's going to be a major problem, and that might be a deal breaker. I don't know. I'm just, hoping it doesn't come to pass, but I don't know. So that's the situation as it stands, but that's kind of gloom and doom and bleak. So I thought I'd talk about something really cool that's a way out of this if it's a continued thing, like it's, you know, it just doesn't relent. And that's a concept that I used to frown upon, like look down upon. You know, biologically, I'm kind of a purist, I guess, and I saw this as tampering and meddling, and it's a concept called permaculture. And it's a very, very interesting. It was pioneered by an Australian guy named Bill Mollison, and there's another guy named Jeff Lawton that is doing some remarkable things. He has a he has a project in the Dead Sea Valley, which is called the Greening the Desert Project, and it's remarkable what he's been able to do. And so permaculture is this concept of intelligent design to facilitate natural processes. And I used to frown on the natural or the intelligent design part, because, you know, I was like, well, nature can find its own way. It's like the Jurassic Park guy, you know, life finds a way. And then I came to realize, I was watching some of Bill Mollison and Jeff Lawton's presentations and lectures, and it struck me that this is an intelligent design that works within the framework of nature to facilitate the framework of nature when conditions otherwise prohibit that. And with the Greening the Desert project, what Jeff did was just, you know, isolate an area and allow pioneering species to come up, which is it's kind of like you know, the Jordanian version of a mesquite tree, I guess you would call it. It's just a really spiky tree that has a lot of it's low lying with a lot of ground cover, so it creates a canopy around it and sheds flowers and leaves constantly, which, you know, it's a mulching facility, I suppose. And so that decays, and, you know, it's just, it really fertilizes the soil under it with organic matter. And from that, he started with that, and life just naturally started picking up. Now, he changed other things. Like he's got this concept called a swale, which is building dams or little channels for water. And it's in the desert, you know, water is a precious commodity. So the idea here is to dam the water off at the highest point, and then allow little tributaries to run down and fill up subsequent dams lower and lower. And this isn't to store the water for, you know, use. This is to hold it in one place so it can soak into the soil, and gravity will naturally take it downhill as time goes on. And this turns out to be an extremely effective way to, you know, retain moisture in an otherwise you know, waterless environment. And so, you know, thankfully we're not at the Dead Sea Valley category yet. I don't know. I mean, depending on how long this goes on, we may be. But it's just very interesting, this concept of permaculture, and I'm wondering to myself what I can apply from that to my situation here, which it's already, you know, I stick within nature's framework, but I also violate that framework, I think, because, well, I mean, I'm farming out of a residential backyard, so I have like raised garden beds, which, you know, you won't find a raised garden bed in nature. So, you know, I'll continue this on video number 2. I've reached YouTube's time limit, so catch you on the other side.